So this was definitely something I did not expect to see. I did not expect to see higher speeds but slower lap times, especially with the wing moved back. What's up, everybody? Thomas Brandon here, helping you get faster in sim racing, particularly on the dirt. And in today's video, we got some really interesting stuff to look at. So we're diving back into Motec on the wing sprint cars, and we're going to be looking at how much speed are you losing when it comes to the wing angle and wing position, or potentially gaining. That's right. So let's dive right into the numbers because we got a lot of stuff to look at here. So I did both the 360s and 410s. Okay, we did Charlotte dirt. We did a clean track, 0% track. I just wanted to see the effect that the wing has on the speed. Okay, the top wing. Now, if we look at the 360s here real quick, we'll do the 360s first. All right. And I did the same exact test every single time. Okay, so what I did was I went out, I have an out lap where we pull out of the pits, I hit the telemetry, all right, then I do 3 laps, all right, and after the completion of the 3rd lap, turn off the telemetry, shut it down. Okay, so that's the way that I ran it. I ran the same line, all right, same fuel, same setup, same everything. The only difference is the top wing. I tested different angles and different positions. Now, if you haven't seen the video that I did on this where we talked about the effect of the wing angle and wing position in terms of the dynamic weight and grip, I'll have a link down in the description below. Go back and watch that video because that one will really shed some light on and really bust the myth that just moving the wing back is the exact same thing as increasing angle. It's not at all. And you're going to see more of that today in this video. But also it shows how the weight is transferred on the car, which is really important to know in terms of, when the track gets slick. Now, this is just purely speed. Okay, we're talking about speed. Keep in mind, as the track slicks off, there's definitely a benefit to having the wing in the angle increased and moved back because now we're talking about maximizing grip. Because all the speed in the world, right, all the wheel speed in the world means nothing if you can't actually connect it to the ground. If you're just sitting there spinning your tires, you're not going to go anywhere. So we've got to maintain that level of grip, all right, as the track slicks off. But when the track's fresh, it's all about just speed and keep the car straight when it comes to these wing sprint cars. And so when we look at the 360 here first, we've got our baseline run, which is 24 degrees, okay, and the wing all the way forward. And you can see here, as we look at our numbers, we got pretty consistent numbers here in terms of the speed each lap, our traction efficiency, our weighted traction, which is a new formula that I just recently added. This is traction based off of your throttle position. So it's the traction efficiency based off of the throttle position. So for example, if you have a lot of traction, right? Let's say we're at like 100, right? But we're all the way off the gas. That's not as, good as having 90% at 50% throttle. You see what I mean? So that's what this weighted one is. For the weighted, the closer to 0, the better. All right. So that's what we got going on here. All right. So here's our base. Now, first up, we looked at 27 degrees. Okay. And all the way forward. And you can see here, as we look at these numbers over here, we have our, first of all, the purple lines right here, these bottom two, that's theoretical speed. Remember, theoretical speed, for those of you who have not seen videos I've done before on Motec, is a formula that I came up with. Basically, it's the mathematical formula that you use to calculate a speedometer, okay, in a passenger car. So what I did was I input all the information for a wing sprint car, right? The wheel diameters, the efficiency of the drivetrain, right? All that stuff like that. Put all of that in, and it gives us what is known as a theoretical speed, or what I call theoretical speed. That says if we were, maximizing our grip to the track at 100% efficient, right? No, nothing lost. We would be theoretically, the wheels would be going this speed. Now, the right rear and left rear are always going to be different because of the fact that we have um, two different size tires, right? I mean, you've got a 105-inch right rear tire and then potentially, a 93 or a 91 or something like that, depending on how much stagger you're running. So the speeds are always going to be different, but we compare them next to each other to get our number, right? So that gives us a little bit more accurate number. Now, as you can see here with the 27 degrees, we lost on average over the course of the same 3 laps, same line, same everything. We lost about 1.5 miles per hour. Okay. So we averaged 105.17 at 24 degrees. This is in the 360. At 27 degrees, we averaged 103.69. That's about 1.5 miles per hour. All right. Now, if we look at one of the big discerning factors between just our speed, right, it's the RPMs. So we saw about a 100 RPM dip in terms of the average. So we were averaging 81.46 at 24 degrees and forward. We were averaging 80.35 at 27 degrees. So that drag is causing us to not wind the motor up as much. And we see that here in the theoretical speed, which is based on RPMs, right? Where you can see that 24 degrees and forward, we're at 121.5 and 138.7 for the left rear and right rear. And then at 27 degrees, we're at 119.8 and 136.8. So about a mile and a half, 2 mile per hour difference on the theoretical speed. So a significant difference in terms of the drop. All right. Now, keep in mind, actual speed is more important than theoretical speed. Theoretical speed is just what I use, like I said, for the traction. But that's what we have for 27 degrees. Now, what about 30 degrees, right? If we go 30 degrees and all the way forward, what does that look like? Well, now we've got our 30 degree all the way forward, and you can see that we've got the same, pretty much the same drop, okay? We've got a 105.1 to 103.8, so 1 point, what? 1.3, 1.4, about a mile and a half, somewhere right around there on average drop in terms of speed. We've got, 121.5 to 119.3. So the theoretical speed is more than 2 miles per hour drop, which is significant. Okay. And then we look at the RPMs, it's about 150 RPMs that we've dropped. All right. Now, keeping in mind that I'm not perfect and I cannot run exactly the same line every single time, right? I mean, there's going to be some slight variance, but keeping that in mind, overall looking at it, you can see that pretty much based on the wing angle, increasing the wing angle. If we look at some simple calculations, right, which I've already done, you're going to be losing about a quarter of a mile per hour per increase in angle. All right. So if you go from 24 to 25, you're going to drop a quarter of a mile per hour on average, okay? All things considered equal. So that's about the drop off that you're going to see with the increased wing angle on the 360s. Keep in mind, this is Charlotte dirt. It's a big, wide open track when you are qualifying and on a fresh track, okay? So while the track is fresh and you're basically just hammer down, keep it straight, you want to have that wing obviously flat and all the way forward. All right. If you start moving it back or increasing the angle, you're going to see a dip in speed. And that also translated to lap times. The lap times dropped every single time I increased the angle. It wasn't by much, but it did drop. If we look, we had 13.2, 13.3, 1, and 13.3, 5. Okay. So we're dropping in terms of lap times as well. All right. Now, that's the wing angle on the 360s. What about the wing position, right? What if we go 24 degrees, but we move it back instead of increasing the angle? Well, let's take a look at that next. So now we're looking at our wing angle the same, but the position changing, okay? Now, we've got 24 degrees and then -2. So I've moved it back 2 notches, all right? Same exact test, same line, same everything. So nothing's changed but the wing position. And if we look at this, you can see that we have another drop. Now, here's what I find really interesting. All right, this was pretty surprising to me. We don't see the drop off in the actual speed like we do with the wing angle, right? See, when we increased the wing angle a couple of degrees, it dropped off, quite a bit. Here, that's not the case. It's 105.1 and 105.02. So you're basically within the margin of error in terms of your ground speed. Now, when we have our theoretical speed, it's about 2 miles per hour difference. And the reason for that is going to be the drop off in the RPMs, where our average RPM is about 150 drop down. So this raises the question, what's going on, right? Because I found this to be pretty perplexing. I was pretty shocked by this when I saw it. I figured we would see relatively the same type of drop off in terms of the speed, right? At least more than, you know, a tenth of a mile per hour. And there's a couple of things. Number one is the wing and moving the wing back, and you can see here on our dynamic weights, provided a little bit more grip to the rear tires, which did increase our traction, which therefore made up in terms of traction. So there might have been some traction that I was losing with the wing at 24 and all the way forward. So mechanically, maybe my setup was not gripping the track as good as it possibly could. So that's one factor, okay, or one possibility. The other possibility is actually within the RPM range, okay, and so I'm gonna have to do some more testing on this stuff to find this out. But maybe the range that I'm running the engine at is not the optimal range for the track, and moving the wing back a couple of notches actually brings it down into that range. So something that I'm going to have to be taking a look at, but definitely perplexing when I saw this data. Now, keep in mind, even though the speed was basically the same, okay, the lap times were not. We were about a tenth off. All right, so a tenth and a half off. So, um, you know, could that be the line that I was running? Could that be the little bit of wear on the track? I mean, it was only 9 laps I'd put on the track, so I don't think it could be that. So definitely something I have to do some more testing on. But in terms of the speed, right, we actually didn't lose any ground speed. We lost lap time, but not ground speed. And there's a couple of things that could explain that. So that one was actually pretty interesting. Now, if we look at the next one, which is -4, that's a different story, because here we actually drop off in terms of lap time fairly significantly. We lose, uh, you know, about a half a mile per hour at -4, and we lose, I mean, like 3 miles per hour in terms of theoretical speed. So, once again, what is it? Is it we've got more traction and it's causing the car to hook up more, right? My setup isn't maximizing the amount of traction that's in the track, potentially, or is it maybe we're in a more optimal RPM? Maybe the optimal RPM range is not what I thought it was. Maybe it's closer to, being 7,900, 7,800, right? Who knows? So moving the wing back does not seem to cost you as much speed on a big track, wide open in a 360, as increasing the angle. All right. Keep in mind, as we're talking about a clean track. All right. I know I've already said this, but when the track slicks off, it's a completely different story. So that's what we've got for the 360s. Now let's take a look at the 410s. All right. So now we've got up the 410 data, and we've got, same setup and everything like that, right? Same track. We're at Charlotte, 0%. It's the same default weather, 78 degrees, 55% humidity, wind 2 miles per hour to the north. Okay, all that same stuff. Okay, same time of day, everything. All right, so we've got our 24 degrees. Now, if we overlay 27 degrees, you're going to see pretty much what we saw in the 360s, just not as much. So in the 360s, we lost about 1.5 miles per hour when we went from 24 to 27. Here, we've lost 1 mile per hour on average. So instead of looking at the 360s, which per angle, right, for each angle that you increase, right? 25 to 24, or excuse me, 24 to 25, or 25 to 26, right? For every angle you increase, you're losing about 0.5 miles per hour on a fresh track. For the 410s, you're losing about 0.3, okay? So obviously 410s have got a lot more power. They're going to build up more momentum, and so the 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 horsepower and the car being lighter is going to overcome that increase in drag better than the 360s. So that's what we're seeing with it at 27. Now here on 30 degrees, it's pretty much more of the same. Okay, dropped off in speed, we've dropped off in RPMs. All right, I mean it's pretty much just more of the same. Now the drop off isn't as much, like I said, at 27, it's not as much. Um, and you can see that here we're actually relatively close to where we were at 27 degrees. We've only lost about, maybe a mile per hour. Um, that could be a couple of things, right? When we're looking at a between 1 mile per hour and a mile and a half mile per hour difference, it could, that's really just in margin of error, right? And like I said, is even though I try to run the exact same line, it's not always going to be identical. And when you're talking about speeds at this, at this level, even the slightest difference can have an effect. Okay, so there's still a drop off. It's just not as much as you see with the 360s. Okay, so on average, based on the tests that I've done, you're looking at per angle increase, you're looking at around 0.2 to 0.3 miles per hour lost. All right, so that's the wing angle. What about the wing position? Well, this was actually pretty shocking. So let's take a look at that next. Now, when we actually have the same wing angle, but we moved the wing back, we increased our speed. Now, this makes no sense, none at all to me. And I reran these tests to try to figure out what was going on, and I couldn't do it. I couldn't figure it out. I don't know what the cause is. Because here, at 24 and forward, we're doing 109.9. Basically, that's 100 and almost 110. Here we are over 110. Now our theoretical speed has dropped, okay? And if we look at the actual lap times, right? It was slower, okay? But the overall speed is basically the same, if not higher. And this makes no sense. I don't understand that. Why that would be. And so once again, it could be my setup is not maximizing the amount of grip that's in the track, which is definitely possible, right? I could have a setup on the car that is not gripping the track as much as it potentially could be, causing a loss in speed, and moving the wing back a little bit has compensated for that. It's providing more grip, which we can see in the traction efficiency numbers it is doing. And because of that, I'm propelling the car forward more, right? Increasing my miles per hour. But since I've got the wing back causing more drag, it's negating some of that, okay? So that is a potential possibility. The other one could be the RPM range, which I don't think it's that. For one, it doesn't matter if it's the RPM range. We can't go beyond a 486. That's the tallest gear we can get in sprint cars. So it doesn't matter if it is the gear or not. There's nothing we can do about it, all right? So it's either the setup or it's the gear ratio, and there's nothing we can do about the gear ratio, so move on. But this was shocking. I was really surprised when I saw this. I would never have thought that we would increase the speed by moving the wing back. Now when we go to -4, it's even more so. So this was completely shocking to me. This made zero sense at all. um the only thing that I can think of is just more of what we were just talking about, where the increase in traction is propelling the car forward more, but then because we've moved the wing back, which does start to increase the angle. When you move it back, the angle does increase. Doing that is increasing our grip, so we're getting better drive, but we're also causing drag, which is negating our lap time. That's the only thing that I can think of. I don't know what else it could be. Like I said, I reran the test. Now, is it possible, like I said a few minutes ago, that my setup is not maximizing the grip that's in the track, and that's why we're not seeing the high speeds? That's more than possible. And in fact, that's what I thought. And because of this, I actually went and reran the test with another setup, okay, using you know, what is referred to as the, you know, the Simmelman setup, the setup that apparently all the pros use, okay? And I went back and I ran it again with that. And although the lap time was similar to what I had done before with my setup at 24 degrees, in fact, my setup was a little bit faster, which has nothing to do with the setup. It has to do with the fact that it was just, it's built for me, right? It's my driving style. But in terms of the speed, once again, 24 degrees and -4 is faster. We are averaging higher speeds with the wing back on a fresh track than with the, you know, Simmelman setup, right? I mean, I'm only calling it that because that's what I heard David Heilman refer to it as on a video. So I have no idea if it really is what is Simmelman's. I don't know. I just know that a lot of pro guys, apparently that's what pros run. I don't know. But it's still 24 degrees at -4 is faster. 111.79. Simmelman setup 110.31. So I don't know what it I don't know what it is. I really don't. I don't know what causes that. I will say that the lap times, once again, and remember, lap times are the most important thing, right? No matter how fast you're going, no matter how quick you're going around the track. The lap times were, you know, a tenth of a second, 1.2 seconds off. Keep in mind that was after I had ran some tests, so the track could be a little bit slower. It is possible, even though it's not going to be a lot, but a little bit slower, right? Maybe you can say it's a, you know, 2/100ths of a second slower. Right? I mean, you know, maybe 3/100ths of a second. Even then, the wing all the way forward, you're getting faster lap times. So this was definitely something I did not expect to see. I did not expect to see higher speeds but slower lap times, especially with the wing moved back. So I don't know what's going on here. I know that there are some anomalies, you know, in iRacing. I don't know if this is one of them. Um, you know, if this is some kind of, you know, just weird thing that, you know, happens. I don't know. I don't know. Like I said, it's completely surprising and completely shocking to see the miles per hour increase while the times decrease. It's just, I don't get it. I could understand it. You know what I said? I've said before. I can understand it because there's times where you might be running the high line, right? You're gonna be carrying more speed than someone on the bottom. But someone on the bottom can definitely have faster lap times. Definitely, especially like if it's a slick track or something like that, and the cushion is right on the wall. That is definitely possible. We see that all the time in racing. A quick lap time does not mean fast top speed, but when the track is fresh and you're wide open and you're running the same line every time, to have an increase in overall speed, right? But then have slower lap, it doesn't make any sense. I don't understand it. So definitely eye-opening, definitely perplexing. One of those things that I'll have to test more and try to figure out. But overall, pretty good information. So, I mean, we can look at it and we can say that, look, on average in the 360s, as you increase the wing angle, you're going to be losing, half a mile per hour, right? Somewhere right around there. As you move it back, you're going to be losing a quarter of a mile per hour. Okay. On the 410s, increasing the angle, you lose about 3/10 of a mile per hour. But moving it back, apparently you gain speed, which makes no sense. But hey, whatever works. So, anyways, that's going to do it. Now, really quick, do me a favor. If you like this type of stuff, please let me know down in the comments below. Let me know what you'd like to see me test next here in Motec. I've had a ton of requests for late models. You guys, the late model is coming. I've got the workbook. I just finished it. I'll be doing a video on it here very, very soon, okay? It will be coming out. So I've heard the pleas for the late models. It's coming. All right. So just understand it'll be out. It should probably be the next video that you'll see after this one. So that's coming. But I mean, otherwise, what do you want me to see? Do you want to see, I don't know, more sprint car stuff, wing sprint car stuff? You want to see non-wings, maybe midgets? I don't know. Let me know. All right. What is it you want to see from Motec? And also, what else do you want to see just in general in videos from here? I put out races, all kinds of different stuff, and just let me know. All right, and let me know if you like this, if this helps. Okay, if you find this interesting, anything, and please do me a favor, hit that like button. Also, make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell. And if you want to join me when I live stream every Wednesday and Thursday on Twitch. You can head over, join my Twitch channel. It's a lot of fun. I live stream on Wednesdays and Thursdays when we run our league races right now, and I got a big race coming up tonight. I joined a league that is not an easy league, and I'm really hoping I'm not going to look like a clown in tonight's race. So, anyways, but if you want to join me for that, head over and check that out. Make sure to give me a follow on Twitch. But anyways, that's going to do it. As always, thank you very much for joining me. Until next time, I want to wish you good luck and good racing. Take care.